Chandré, thank you for allowing us as Collective Action Magazine to interview you. You are from the for Security Studies and Violence Prevention Forum. Tell us a bit more about your organization, what it is that you do.
Thank you so much. The Institute for Security Studies is an African-wide policy research institute. We support the development of policy and undertake research in the field of human security. In South Africa, my team and I are working very hard to support the prevention of violence, and we do this in one of many ways. One of those ways is through convening the National Violence Prevention Forum, a provincial violence prevention forum, and a forum at community level. This is where we come together over a long-term process and bring together government officials, NGO implementers, development partners, people from the private sector and from the research community to figure out how best we can use the knowledge and the evidence that we have to prevent violence in our country.
Thank you for that. So, coming together, we see that the National Strategic Plan on GBV, bringing together the NGBV collective. How has the whole bringing of that entire multi-sector been? Let's talk about, for example, the definition of prevention, violence prevention. Do we agree on that, what that is?
As a society, we definitely don't agree on what it will take to prevent violence. We have a long way to go before we will all agree. But within the Violence Prevention Forum, after having come together for 7 years and talked about prevention, we realized we were at a point where we needed to really tie this down and define what we mean by violence prevention so that we can move forward with the same vision. Children, people from NGOs, from the research community, from the policy community, donors and the private sector, over a deeply consultative process that took a year, came to agreement that violence prevention is the whole of society working deliberately and sustainably to remove sources of harm and inequality and heal woundedness by growing an ethic of mutual care, respect and inclusion to build peace. That definition is represented in the comprehensive National Prevention Strategy of the NSP, and this afternoon, when we have a clinic about prevention, we're going to be talking about how it is that we define prevention and how that can help us to identify the role that every individual, every institution and every group in our society can play to prevent violence.
That's wonderful. We are right now at the Presidential Summit on Gender-Based Violence, the second. How do we then define when it comes to the gender-based violence space? I just want us to unpack just a bit what violence prevention looks like from a gender-based perspective. What are some of the interventions, mechanisms, I don't want to say maybe policies that can be put into place that will help shape the narrative when it comes to violence prevention within the gender-based violence space?
All forms of violence intersect. Gender-based violence takes place in a context in which, in our country, there is the use of violence to solve conflicts and problems at all levels. We haven't got agreement in our society that we all want to prevent violence. And this is going to be key. If we want to prevent violence, we need everybody on board, and everybody needs to want to prevent violence. Preventing gender-based violence is going to take a multitude of interventions, and some of those include things like supporting parents with positive parenting programs. Being a parent, I'm sure we all know, is deeply stressful, and in a context of uncertainty, and where violence is present every day, it's even harder to be a parent. When parents are stressed, it's very hard to pay attention to the needs of your child, whether you are stressed about what's going on around you, or whether it's you're stressed because of money, or you're stressed because you've experienced violence, or you're anticipating the use of violence in your home. So supporting parents has been shown, and providing positive parenting programs that enable parents to have the skills to use positive discipline and not corporal punishment, to know that they need to spend special focused time with their children and how to set that time aside, how to set boundaries and rules. We know that these are the core elements of evidence-based parenting programs. One of the things the Violence Prevention Forum did was enable organizations delivering these kind of programs to come together to form the South African Parenting Program Implementers Network, so that we have a foundation on which to provide services to parents around the country. We desperately need to grow this service so that parents can be supported, so that the next generation of children grow up without experiencing violence, at least not at the levels that we're experiencing them now.
Finally, what would you like to see happen in the landscape within the violence prevention? What's the end goal? What would you like to see happen?
I would like to see us using our best knowledge and evidence to prevent violence. I would like to see us acknowledging where we are at, and that we are a very long way from having everything in place that we need to prevent violence. But let's agree that we need to resource this walk forward. We need to raise awareness in society through massive communications campaigns, so that each one of us, whether we're a traditional leader, a teacher, a parent, or the Minister of Police, knows what our role is in preventing violence in society and not contributing to it.
Thank you so much, Chandré, for being a part of this interview. All the best on your journey.